Hey yo, it's Guido coming at you with Tactics Talk. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning into this episode of World of Tanks. And we have Wanderjar back from Clan Shire in his EBR 75 FL10, which is a Tier 8 wheeled tank, French wheeled tank. A premium wheeled tank with a little autoloader on it, very fast. I featured a lot of wheeled tanks a couple months back. Maybe it's more than that at this point when they came out. Played a lot of them, did reviews on all of them, so I had a lot of gameplay from wheel tanks, but I stopped playing them. Mostly because I moved on to other things, but also because they are bad for the game. So we're going to watch this. That really is my position, to be quite honest. It's a genie that's out of the bottle. It's not going back. The cat's out of the bag. All that good stuff is not going back in the bag. Genie's not going in the bag. The cat's not going in the bottle. It's not happening. However, I really believe they need to be toned down a little bit. They operate at the extremes of speed, and it gives the game engine and the game play a lot of issues. And it really does change the dynamics of the game. And that may have well been some of the intention by the developers to kind of speed up some gameplay, give options. They obviously have weaknesses. They're not very durable, except for the fact that they're very difficult to hit. And they get a lot of weird bounces. So on the one hand, you say, well, they don't have a lot of hit points, they're not very durable. On the other hand, they are, because effectively they are. They're hard to hit, and they get a lot of weird bounces. So it is kind of interesting, and I think that a big chunk of the community that plays this game are older gamers, and one of the reasons they came here is they don't have to deal with this kind of garbage in this game, but they do now. Now, it's not all the time, it's not every game, but it's a lot of games. And we're going to watch Wanderjar have a fantastic game. Not taking a single thing away from what he does in here. He uses the tank. He uses it well. It's a 1700 base experience game. So let's watch Wanderjar work in the FL10. If you're a fan of the wheel tanks, then you're going to absolutely love this, because he does exactly what wheel tanks do right here. This Hotchkiss, I don't know how he doesn't spot him right here. This is the auto aim, and he gets a chunk into him. Remember, the auto aim is what used to be called Auto Aim Plus. It was a mod that's now been incorporated, or at least the style of it has been incorporated, if not the exact code of the mod, by Wargaming to give to one special kind of tank. So what it means is you don't actually have to be pointing directly at, or on, let's put it this way. You do not have to have your highlight on the enemy tank for it to lock onto it. That was deemed, as Auto Aim Plus, when every tank could use it as a mod, to be an unfair advantage. Now all of a sudden, and there's one of the first shots. Guy nails him, the poor AT. Gets a hit and goes, well, great. And then there's a miss, then there's a hit that doesn't do anything again. Damages a wheel and slows him down a little bit. Oh, darn. Now he's only doing 80. Oh, and the poor AT is out of the game. Really didn't even get started in the game. You might say, well, too bad, camper. All right. Got it. Even the poor Tiger 1 now is not going to be able to play the game. He can't even get to a position to play. He'd have been better to sit on cap, because we have this tank just raging through the back. There's another hit. We actually get some damage on him. Now we're raging around. This poor other EBR is attempting to do something about this guy that's absolutely wrecking his team. We've got 2,391. Now this is interesting here, because we'll get back to the auto aim thing in just a minute. Usually, in the past, if you got in like this with a scout, you'd need to bail out. You know, all the guns are now pointing at you. You've got a lot of their attention. Yes, you're getting some sniper shots, but you're going to have to find a place to hide, or a bush to get in, or maybe this low spot in this little ravine right here, and kind of do some poking and see if you can't keep working on them. Not with the wheeled tanks like this. With the wheeled tanks like this, you hit the fast mode and you just keep coming at them. You just keep coming at them until they prove they can actually hit you, which they have not so far. Now we've got a Hotchkiss coming in. This is going to start illustrating when he fights a couple other tanks here. It's going to illustrate the problem with the game engine. That's supposed to be Centroid, right? When you auto-aim. Did you notice it was lagging behind the EBR? Because of the speeds, for whatever reason, whether by design or by the game engine, and I don't know which one it is. I assume it's the game engine, because any other tank, if it's moving not that fast, it will be relatively near the center of the tank. With these tanks, especially with a lot of line of sight, i.e. left to right or right to left motion, it has a hard time keeping up auto aim. It doesn't matter if it's this kind of auto aim on the EBRs or if it's the auto aim on a tank. It's aiming at your ass end. which means you're going to have a lot more chance of missing with auto aim. And auto aim happens to be one of the best ways to take these dumb things down when you're close, except for the fact that it's always aiming at the back edge of the tank, especially if there's a lot of line of sight, right left to right or right to left motion. That's one of the things that makes me think the game engine simply cannot keep up with the speeds. If it's by design, that's kind of crappy, because that makes a purposeful decision on making these things even more survivable. So see how he's just got a nice centroid? That's a very slow moving T. He's backing up the poor T25/2, and he has no problem. It comes over, auto aims him, doesn't even really have to highlight him. You try to do that in a light tank, a medium tank, a heavy tank, you've got to get the highlight right on him. This decision I do not understand in the slightest, except that it was deemed maybe it was a little too hard for these things to hit anything going at the speed they're going at which point I go, yes, perfect. It really is at this point becoming silly. Look at it. It just, sorry IS, you're a heavy tank, don't care. I'll just come around your side at Mach Snot. I will auto aim you from miles away using what used to be considered a unfair advantage. Oh, by the way, it still is. If you try to put the auto aim plus on your medium tank or heavy tank, you get banned. But for this, hey buddy, just fine, man. Use your auto aim plus and wreck people all day long. Have I made my point clear on that? I think I really have. So what would we do about this? The first thing you do is you remove auto aim plus. That should be gone tomorrow. Get rid of that. Stop letting these guys, people, and me too. I play them. I used it. I used it to great effect. I had a great time with these tanks. I wrecked people exactly like this on multiple occasions. This is what these tanks do. That's not the question. It's not. The question isn't whether it's fun. It clearly is. To some extent, a company has to take that into account, and they like to sell things. I got it. But what is it doing to your overall gameplay? I'll tell you what it's doing for my community, which tends to be older. It's ticking them off. I mean, it is a bit crazy. So there's another example. See how it's following is right behind him because it can't keep up? And then this poor Scorpion has no hope. This thing is so fast, and he is so slow in traverse. Even though he's got a turret, look at this. Now he's not playing it very well. He needs to just spin with his... Now he's trying to get to cover because he's getting shot from every direction. Blap. Blap. We'll get another example of the auto aim not being able to keep up. And when I say they need to fix that for the auto aim part, it's not in order to help the wheel tanks, although it will, especially when they fight each other. But it will help every tank deal with these things if they're going to be able to auto aim. Personally, I'd take auto aim out of the complete game. A PvP game with auto aim is ridiculous. That's just my opinion. I understand that to some extent it is a accessibility issue, depending on the situations people have, their own personal situations. But for a PvP game, for me, to have auto aim is silly. See how it just really can't keep up with the maneuvers? Then he gets one right there because the guy is coming straight at him. Now this is a heck of a series right here because we got a, 20, 70 hit point, whatever it is, single shot EBR raging in here to come in and try to take on our hero Wanderjar. And this takes forever. Oh. See how hard it is to track those guys? Even with a tank that has a pretty fast gun traverse. And all of a sudden he's down some hit points and this guy is starting to, while not win, he's certainly evened up the fight a little bit. But he's going to come straight at him. I think we're going to miss in a hit here. Unfortunately, he makes a mistake and gives basically a shot where there's not much left to right or right to left motion. And now it is just a series of let's shoot our heat into these guys. And he actually comes into the HE, which is probably a good chance, but a good decision right now. Would that get him 172, 173? So that was okay. Neither one of those being a pen, but he's taking chunks out of these guys with his HE. See if he gets something here. It looks like just a crit. Gets another crit. That's tracking damage. We're up to 4,100. And down he goes up to 4,500. We got 3,344. 5 kills, 4,512 assists. A fantastic game with 1,700 base. Just a really nice job by Wanderjar right there, using that tank to its strengths. And I took a little bit of an opportunity. I've been talking about eventually getting to a wheeled tank / EBR screed video. I've been sitting on that because I don't want to go off the top rope and turn it into a big drama thing. So I added a little bit of my ideas in there on this one. Not again, I don't want to take anything away from what Wanderjar did. It was a great game, right? So let's put that on the top of the table. But it does beg a lot of questions about gameplay, about the direction the game is going, and the things that these wheeled tanks do to some of the games they're in. All the games, no. Are they in all the games? No. Is it a what's the word I'm looking for? They always use in politics a existential threat to the game. No, no. Is it something that needs to be changed a little bit? In my opinion, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, a couple things that need to be done, as far as I'm concerned, is get rid of Auto Aim Plus. They don't get that. They shouldn't get that. There's no reason to give them that advantage. You don't give it to anybody else, any other tank. Why do they get it? So get rid of that. Slow them down more when they get hit. Slow them down a lot more when they get hit. The tracking game mechanic in this game is so centrally important to how this game is played. To give a very fast tank like this basic immunity to that is a gameplay development decision I cannot understand. It needs to be slowed down a lot more so that they simply cannot rage through the line like we saw over and over and over again. There needs to be some kind of better threat to them on doing that, much like a light tank who does that, who has the threat of getting tracked. I'm not saying they get necessarily stopped, but they need to get slowed down enough that they're going to have to go find cover and get away. So they're still moving, they have that advantage, but they're not still moving at crazy speeds. And the third thing is figure out what is going on with your bounces. If your game engine can't keep up with it, slow down your tanks. I don't know what the problem is with it. If it's just a lot of shots going into wheels because they're very big, that's possible. A lot of shots going to tracks, I got that. But something needs to be done. And if it is hitting the wheels, then it really needs to slow the tank down. Because I'm telling you, you've got a good portion of your community, not all, but a good portion of your older community is getting seriously irritated by this. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm sure this will be controversial. I know there's a lot of fans of the wheeled tanks in my community anyway, and I am too to some extent. I just don't like the far edges of their capabilities and what it does to the gameplay. And I really think they need to be adjusted. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate it. That is it for today. If you like what you saw, give me a follow or a like, and I suppose this one's probably going to get some down arrows. But that's all right, man. We all have our own opinions. We will see ya.